You'll all have seen banner adverts on any type of website, but primarily things like newspaper websites, information websites, websites that you might go to change your utility provider, that sort of thing. You find a lot of banner adverts there. And in parallel with the way that TV adverts pay for content, banner adverts often pay for a lot of this content. So if you want to click on those links, that'll take you to two media sites where you can see lots of banner advertising. The ability to use customer information is something else that has progressed quite a lot and is progressing and is developing. And basically, companies are placing an ever higher value on information about their consumers. And consumers are understanding that that information has value and are expecting to get more from giving out information. So that is something that has changed quite fundamentally in the last maybe 5 years. So if you're looking at starting up your own businesses, understanding your customers, understanding what information you can get about your customers and how you can use that is quite important to you. So I'll look at some examples. Companies like Nestle, when they launch a new bar of chocolate, they very often say there's a website you can go to, you fill in your email address, your name, your age, whether you're male or female, that sort of thing, and they'll send you a free bar of chocolate. Now, you have to give them your address because otherwise you can't receive the free bar of chocolate, so they've got you there. And they'll claim that they need your email, they need a working email address in order to allow you to log in and perhaps change your details in the future and so on. So they're actually getting quite a lot of information out of you, and you're selling it for the price of a chocolate bar that is new, so you might or might not even like. So it's still fairly easy to get this sort of information out of consumers, but it's getting ever more difficult, and that's going to be one of the challenges that we're going to have to work out how to face in the coming years. So these are what I'm trying to do here is give you pointers of things that aren't resolved yet that you need to look into, to think about for the future plans that you have for your own businesses. Another example, UCI, the cinema chain, and probably most cinemas allow you to give them your email address. So again, they've got your details for marketing to you. And you'll receive a weekly email telling you what films are on. And that can be really useful because if they've managed to get their information in front of your face at the sort of time that you might want to use it, then they've made an advantage for themselves over competitors. Imagine it's Friday afternoon, you're thinking, I might go to cinema this weekend, I might want to see Slumdog Millionaire. I've got this email from UCI, it's on at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. Well, that seems like a fair time, why will I bother looking at any other cinemas? If the UCI is handy and it's got a film you want to see at the right time. So that's one way of using information to make sure that your customers use your service or your product instead of your customers. Mobile phone networks, for instance, often offer free email address with your phone, and that's quite clever because it means it's a real hassle when you want to change your mobile phone provider. So if you have an email address, joeblogs@o2.co.uk, and you're thinking of changing to Vodafone or Orange or something, you think, oh, I'm going to have to change my email address as well. That's a bit of a hassle. So it's another way of kind of, these are tricks that people use to sort of lock in customers. An interesting way that companies are starting to look at this sort of thing is to distribute free gifts to people who write blogs. And we've got an example of that coming up, and it's in the printouts of the slides if you have those. And that can be a really, really effective way of getting word of mouth advertising and spreading a message. How do you address the one of the first issues I mentioned, if you remember, was people don't necessarily pay as much attention to television adverts as they used to. Okay? So how can you go about making people pay attention? One way that a lot of companies are starting to do is to tie in television advertising to a web campaign and effectively try to make the consumer watch the advert. So what we can see here is lastminute.com. It's a company that allows last-minute hotel rooms, flights, theatre tickets, all that sort of thing. What they've done is made a series of adverts. There are 3 adverts, and they're all involving lots of people holding thumbs up to various things that are said throughout the commercials. One advert has been shown on ITV1, the next advert on Channel 4, and the next one on Channel 5. But they recognise that you might not really have paid that much attention to the adverts when they're on TV, so they've got them again on the website. And the idea is, because, and this is in the adverts, count the number of thumbs ups and submit your details to win prizes. Okay? So what that's done is made people who want to win a free holiday or a free theatre ticket or a free flight or whatever else. If you want to win it, if you want to be in it to win it, then you have to pay attention. Okay, so you have to count things and say. But just in case you didn't see the advert, you can watch them again. So that's one technique to try to make television advertising a little bit more effective than it might otherwise have been. And we'll look at other examples of this as we go through the presentation. Now, we mentioned the banner advertising on websites. Does anyone here have their own website or blog or anything like that? No? Okay. If you do, if you did have your own website, you can very easily have adverts placed on that website by services such as Google AdWords, and then Google will give you a proportion of the money that they get for placing those adverts. And this has been quite a useful model until it became the victim of cybercrime. Quite an alarmingly large proportion of web advertising is now being subject to something called click fraud, and that's where the owner of the website starts clicking on the adverts in order to say, lots of people have looked at these adverts, so thank you, Mr. Google, can I have some more money, please? And I'm sorry, there's a couple of words missing from this slide. 30% of that fraud is being done by automated robots and automated programs. And you can see the numbers are quite worrying. So if you're paying Google to put your ads on websites, and Google are saying, okay, and we'll only charge you when someone clicks on your link, you think, well, that sounds good. But you're actually paying about an extra 30%. So there's probably not much point in trying to negotiate with Google, but there are smaller companies that do this. So if you were to start using, like, Yahoo is much smaller in this game. If you were to start advertising with a Yahoo AdWord type campaign, you might be able to negotiate and say, well, actually, nearly 20% of it's going to be click fraud, so give me 20% off or something like that. And what we see, companies like Google and Yahoo are way ahead of the game, but there will be lots of these companies coming through to start selling advertising. So it's worth thinking about that if that's a model that you want to consider.